Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here putting together another skirt, a custom order actually. And I thought I'd better talk about something I thought was pretty important because a lot of people who've been following me for at least a brief amount of time know that Patrick and I took ourselves off the thyroid medication without any help from a doctor. And in case you're new, just to give you a little bit of backstory, we were both on thyroid medication for 15 years each. So I think it was our early mid-30s we were put on thyroid medication. And about 7-8 years ago, I took ourselves off of it, starting with myself. And I have a video, actually Patrick was in it with me too, but I have a whole series on being pharma-free. But I do have a video that Patrick and I did together specifically on how we got off the thyroid medication and what worked for us. So because of that, I get a lot of people that ask me questions on things like, well, how much this and that should I take? And how long does it take to work? And so on and so forth. And sometimes I kind of feel, I get concerned that people don't really listen to everything that's in the video. And so I keep trying to refer people back to the video to what we did. But I think more importantly is that even though I do put a disclaimer it's just automatically in every video, I don't always think to move it to the top of the video or the description box. But I'm not a doctor, Patrick's not a doctor, and we don't claim to be, we don't try to pretend to be. It's not up to us to tell people how much of any kind of anything they should take. So I just like to share with you what we've done and how it worked for us and how we were able to be successful. Now, I believe, like with a lot of medications, thyroid, blood pressure, and many others that are most commonly being handed out like candy to people, I think for most people it is possible to get off of them. But I can't tell you which people for sure. I can't tell you how you have to go about it. I can only share with you what we've done and what I've looked into and researched on my own to learn these things. But it's not necessarily a one-size-fits-all thing, just like a lot of stuff. It's really important that you understand this, that we're all each going to have our individual needs. So what's going on is that whether it be just our own poor diet choices or our living the way we live, our lifestyle, maybe we have too many plastics in our life, or maybe we're consuming the city tap water that's got fluoride in it, and using fluoridated toothpaste, or using Teflon pans. Maybe it's none of those. Maybe it's some other diet problems. Maybe our guts are destroyed because of all the hormones and antibiotics that are being used in the meats from the store and various other things. Or maybe we're on a whole bunch of other prescription medications that's taking a toll on our health and on our gut. I can't tell each individual person. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know. I don't know enough, and I'm not a doctor, so I cannot prescribe to you a certain amount of supplements or anything like that I think you should take in order to heal your thyroid. It's just not that easy. Just like being put on a medication to heal something that might not even be a disease in the first place, it's not an easy fix, and it could possibly have bad side effects if it's not what you need. So in that video on the thyroid in particular, I gave some suggestions on some particular types of supplements that you might want to look into taking, whether it be iodine or L-tyrosine, which is an amino acid, or selenium. But I did state in there that I don't think these are things that we should depend on, because what we really need to be looking at is changing our diet and making sure that we're getting as much of the nutrients that we can from our food. And that's not going to happen if all we're eating is prepackaged foods from the store. And and we're not eating good, raw, healthy fruits and vegetables as often as possible and as organic as possible. It's not going to happen if we're continuing to consume fluoride in various sources. It's not going to happen if we're constantly exposing ourselves to far more aluminum and plastics than what our body can handle and deal with. So there's so many factors to take into consideration, let alone our own body needs. So for each of us, though, in reality, I think everybody should be able to have the same diet. Everybody should be able to eat whole grains and meats and dairy and fresh fruits and vegetables and be healthy. Unfortunately, in our modern world, that's just not the case, because of all the things that's happened to our health and has changed our genetics so that we're passing some of these unhealthy genes onto our prodigy, that it's just been getting progressively worse, and it's caused individual problems that we have to deal with. Now, the problem with the modern medical community is they see something which is a symptom, they label it as a disease, and they throw a drug at it. But nobody is really looking into, well, what's causing this? What's causing your blood pressure to go up? And I have a video just on blood pressure. And again, it's not to say you should run out and just stop taking your blood pressure medicine, or you should run out and stop taking your thyroid medication. There should be steps that you take that lead up to that. And nothing I say should ever be taken that way. You need to do your own personal research. I'm hoping that the information I share can be helpful, and some people have been able to use what we have done and actually have been able to go off their thyroid medication and other medications because of that. But it's not necessarily going to work for everyone, and you have to, just like the iodine, for example. Iodine wasn't good for me to take. My body has a natural, just like I can get too much iron, I can easily get too much iodine. And so I have to be very careful with such things like that. And so that's not going to be the easy fix, just taking iodine, not for me. And nothing really is an easy fix. You got to think about this. You've had a lifetime, a whole lifetime, and who knows what has been handed down from your parents and their genes of things that need to be fixed. And so you can't just take you can't just start taking selenium and all of a sudden tomorrow or in a month your thyroid's going to be better. It's got to be more than that. And so I'm putting this out there just to remind people, because I'm really concerned that some people I get people that come to me and they want answers to these questions that I cannot answer for them, because I'm not them. I'm not in their shoes. I'm not living their lifestyle. And I don't know what their blood tests are saying. I'm not a doctor. So even if I did know all that stuff, I'm still not a doctor, and I still cannot prescribe to you any certain amount of anything. I can only head you in the right direction. And that is why in that video, one of the channels that I linked to was Dr. John Bergman, because he has a lot of information, and he is a doctor on how to get, he's a doctor in a couple different ways. Some people say, oh, he's just a chiropractor. No, he's more than that. And he's got the knowledge. And I wish I would have found his channel, which I will link to up here and in the description box below. If you want to check him out, you can go to his channel and look up anything. Look up blood pressure, look up thyroid, look up adrenals, look up whatever it is that you're dealing with. And you're pretty certain, sleep problems, it's pretty certain you will find videos, and they're well done, very well researched, that should be able to help you out. And that's why I always do that. I like to steer you towards people that have all that information that's going to be helpful to most people anyway, whereas my information only be helpful to some people who are more like me, or more physically have the same kind of physical challenges or benefits or whatever. Some people that follow me might not have ever heard of Dr. John Bergman, and so here's a way that I can get his channel out there for you. Now, I was starting to say, I wish I would have found his channel long before I took myself off the thyroid medication, because for me personally, I did go through some struggles. And I went through a period of time where my immunity dropped really low, and I got the flu that year. I got some other ailments that year that I never had to deal with. And it was really kind of bizarre, but I know it was because my body went through too much of a slump while it was trying to heal the thyroid so that it can function properly on its own. And for Patrick, I did things a little bit different, because by the time I'd already gone through this, by the time I started taking him off the thyroid, that I weaned him off it slower. I made sure I was getting all these good things into him before and making the dietary changes with him before I took him off the thyroid medication. And he breezed right through it with no problem. For me, it took a while. And I think if I would have had all the information I'd been able to glean from Dr. Bergman later, I think I would have had a lot less problems. There are definitely things I would have done differently. But at the time, I had searched and searched and searched and searched online and could not find any really hard proof or any thorough evidence or ideas of what a person like me who had been on thyroid medication for longer than 10 years could do and what was going to be best. So a lot of it was just learning what kind of herbs and vegetables and nutrients that I needed to be able to do that by constantly searching and then learning how to do it myself and just figuring it out as I went. So it might have to be the same way for you. You could get all this information, whether it be from me or Dr. Bergman or any other doctor, but it still may be trial and error for you to be able to find out what is best for you, what nutrients you need the most. Now, I believe you can go to different doctors and they can probably do blood tests to see if you're low in any specific nutrients, and that might give you a good idea. Not everybody can afford to go to naturopathic doctors. I mean, for us, that was part of the deal there, but also because we didn't have any close to us. That was why I couldn't go to any. And I certainly didn't expect any of them to call them up and have them give me some free information, because, well, that's their job and they're going to want to see you in person. Now, some other tips when you're looking into, I think I've probably done this before, shared a video on this, but just in case, I want to throw this out there. Some other tips on how to research the information that you need in order to find how to get yourself off whatever medication, if it's even possible, is to use your browser. A lot of people don't know how to use their browser, and you can't just type in a single word like thyroid and pull up the kind of information you're looking for. You often are going to have to use several different types of word searches. So I'm talking mostly about the thyroid, but this goes for any other issue that you may be having. Is type, one of the most popular would be to put in natural remedies for, and whatever it is that you're looking at, or how to heal my thyroid, or herbal, best herbs for whatever it is, or best nutrients for whatever it is. These are some different types of phrases that you can put in, and I'd say try them all, because with each one that you put in there, you're going to find some different information. It's going to take you to, some links that you'll keep seeing over and over again, but then you'll also find other links that maybe you didn't find under the other search. Now, a couple of places I recommend you steer away from, or at least one in particular, is WebMD. WebMD isn't all bad. I've actually found some helpful, useful, and right-on information there, but WebMD is highly controlled by Big Pharma, and so they're going to be more about promoting that you see a doctor and get on medication than they are going to be promoting a natural way of being able to help you with it, whatever your health problem is. And a lot of times when you go to sites like that, one of the biggest giveaways is when you look along the sidebar there and you see ads. What are the ads for? If the ads are for pharmaceutical drugs, that's a pretty good sign of who's filling their pockets. and so who they're going to support. Obviously, if they're going to be supporting Big Pharma, and that's who's paying them, they're not going to be wanting to promote natural remedies. So just keep that in mind. Again, WebMD isn't entirely bad. I just wouldn't totally trust them. And whenever you see them bad-mouthing any kind of natural remedy, do deeper research on other places, but not just one, because then you can have on the other side, you can have just people that are probably just people like me that don't have a doctorate in anything or a certificate or a degree, and they just might say, hey, I did this and it worked for me. Pay close attention to that too, because it might be what worked for them, but it might not be what worked for you. So take all of these into consideration. It is tiring, it is exhaustive, but if you're wanting to get off the medications of whatever kind it is important that this kind of research be done. You cannot trust any one person, even if they are a doctor. You cannot trust that one person. You have to really, what it boils down to is taking your health into your own hands. And sometimes, yes, it does take a little bit of trial and error to find out what's best. And I can get you on that road, but I can't fill your head with the knowledge that you need, and I can't prescribe any one thing for you that will work, because I have no way of knowing that. And that goes for anyone else, okay? You know, and I say the same thing about doctors, because not even doctors, I mean, most of the time, I'm not saying that all doctors are bad. There's good doctors out there, but a lot of times the way they're taught and the way they're thinking is throwing a drug at it. And they're not taught about, I mean, I've read books by doctors who were raised, you know, who were taught conventionally in the modern way of thinking, and they're not taught anything about natural remedies. In fact, a lot of them now are taught to even ignore or disregard any kind of natural remedy or even supplements. You got to look at all your sources and weigh them out. Because for me as a believer, you know, I believe that God created everything, and I believe that He created everything to work together. I believe He created our bodies intelligent, and also gave us in His plants and the herbs, He gave us the nutrients that we need for our bodies to be able to heal themselves. So it's not, one thing you got to look at too, it's not so much that a particular herb or vegetable or fruit is going to heal you, it's that in those things, your body's going to take from it what it needs, what it's always needed for proper health, to fight off certain diseases, to prevent the diseases in the first place, and to just live healthy and natural. So, you know, looking at it that way, it's not that there's a one magic cure out there, even in nature. It's that you have to totally redesign your life. The things you eat and how you live, the water you drink, the air that you breathe, even the clothes that you wear, the makeup that you wear, if you wear makeup, whatever kind of lotion or shampoo or conditioner or toothpaste or any of that stuff that you use. All of this stuff is likely going to have to change, and that's what we did. That is one of the reasons I got into making my own deodorant and tooth powder and so on. It was because it was almost impossible to find toothpaste that was fluoride free, and who knows what else was in it. So not only am I saving a lot of money, I'm doing my body a favor by getting away from the toxic chemicals that are in the toothpaste that's supposed to be healthy for you at the store. And the same thing applies to food. I mean, I just mentioned this in another video, but I'm going to say it again because it's one of this can apply to just about anything. But yes, we want to buy as natural and organic as we can when it comes to our fruits and vegetables. And there are certain places that it's not a big deal to go non-organic, but there's certain things where it is a big deal. Buying a package of unpeeled non-organic carrots is probably going to be healthier for you than going and buying a package of so-called organic baby carrots. Those are likely loaded in far more chemicals, toxic chemicals, than the non-organic carrots that haven't been peeled. I just recommend washing and peeling those carrots. Now, if I was going to when I take carrots right out of my own ground, I don't peel them. I know there's no chemicals in them. But when you buy those organic baby carrots, they might have been raised organically, but they treat them then with chemicals. They chemically peel those carrots. And that's one of the reasons why they go mushy so fast. And they're not baby carrots. Just look at them. They're all exactly the same shape and size. That should tell you something. That is not natural. So stop buying those baby carrots. Sometimes you might think what you're buying is healthy and natural when it's not. All right, well, I hope this helps, and I just felt it was really important to get that out there. Please watch my videos, glean what you can, but don't take that as a hardcore, what this is gonna work for you. Make sure you do all of your research before you jump into taking yourself off of any kind of medication. That is incredibly important. And I'm not gonna say don't talk to your doctor. If you tell your doctor what you're wanting to do, you may even have a doctor, like I've actually seen some when you know, even though they'll prescribe medications, if you say, hey, I wanna do this without medications, so can you help me? Sometimes some doctors will help you with that. It's just they can't give that information out first. They could get themselves in trouble. They have to prescribe for you a drug first. That's basically how they're supposed to work, or they can get in trouble. So they may mean well, but they have to follow the rules. So if you ask them and you're honest with them, if they know better, like there was a doctor here in town that was like that. When he found out that Patrick went off his thyroid, he was asking about it, and he's like, oh, okay, no big deal. And you know, where another doctor totally freaked out about it. So it just depends on who it is. So don't be afraid to ask your doctor. And if they respond in the negative and they're rude about it and say, you know, they're God and they know everything, then it's time to get a new doctor. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Take your health into your own hands. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.